Hey everyone, and welcome to this Masterclass Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with us today. Look, we are going to completely transform how you communicate in the manufacturing, accounting, and supply chain worlds. We're going to master over 60 essential business terms, and we're going to do it using a super effective repetition method. Honestly, just think of me as your personal vocal coach for the next few minutes. For every single term, we are going to say the English word 3 times to really lock in that pronunciation. And then I'll hit you with one clear, practical English sentence so you instantly understand exactly how to use it on the job. So, are you ready to upgrade your professional vocabulary? Awesome. Let's dive right into this.
All right, here's the business life cycle we're tackling today. We've got 1. Core abbreviations. 2. Materials and production. 3. Tools and equipment. 4. Accounting and costs. And finally 5. Logistics and handover. Let's get started.
Section 1. Core business abbreviations. Business shorthand. Okay, these abbreviations are going to save us an incredible amount of time. Let's practice them together. First up, RM, raw materials. Raw materials. Raw materials. The factory ordered new raw materials to start production today. Next, ST, suppliers and tools. Suppliers and tools. Suppliers and tools. We need to check our list of suppliers and tools for the new project. Then we have FA, fixed assets. Fixed assets. Fixed assets. Heavy machinery and buildings are considered fixed assets because they are long-term investments. Next is a really common inventory method, FIFO, first in, first out. First in, first out. First in, first out. Using the first in, first out method ensures older stock is sold before it expires. Moving on to WA, weighted average. Weighted average. Weighted average. The accountant calculated the weighted average cost of our inventory for the month. And finally, VAT, value-added tax, value-added tax, value-added tax. Please ensure the value-added tax is included in the final customer invoice.
Now for NRV. This one's a bit of a mouthful, so let's take our time. Net realizable value. Net realizable value. Net realizable value. Make sure you really sound out that middle word carefully. Realizable. In practice, you'd say, when our stock gets damaged, we must record it on our balance sheet at its net realizable value, which is simply the estimated selling price minus the cost to sell it.
Section 2. Materials and production. The factory floor.
Let's look at the exact flow of production. So we already know raw materials, right? Once those materials hit the assembly line, they become WIP, work in progress, work in progress, work in progress. Half-assembled chairs on the factory floor are counted as work in progress. Then, when the manufacturing is totally complete, they become FG. Finished goods, finished goods, finished goods. We transferred the completed chairs to the warehouse as finished goods ready for sale.
Let's drill down into the base materials we actually use. Substance, substance, substance. Water is a liquid substance essential for this mixing process. Frame, frame, frame. We use strong steel in door frame production. Fabric, fabric, fabric. Cotton is the most common fabric used in garment manufacturing. Garment, garment, garment. A jacket is a type of garment we produce for the winter season. And cement, cement, cement. We mix sand, water, and cement in construction to build strong walls.
But base materials aren't enough on their own. We also need helper materials, which we call auxiliary items. Auxiliary, auxiliary, auxiliary. Auxiliary materials support the main production process. Let's practice a few of these. Machine lubricating oil, machine lubricating oil, machine lubricating oil. We apply machine lubricating oil to keep the gears running smoothly. Sewing thread, sewing thread, sewing thread. You need a strong sewing thread to stitch heavy denim garments together. Surface paint, surface paint, surface paint. After assembly, we apply a glossy surface paint to protect the metal from rust.
Let's keep our rhythm going with energy and byproducts. Fuel, fuel, fuel. The factory needs a reliable source of fuel to keep the engines running. Petrol, petrol, petrol. The delivery trucks run on unleaded petrol. Coal, coal, coal. Some older power plants still burn coal for energy. Gas, gas, gas. We use natural gas to heat the industrial ovens. Now for the waste materials, and make sure to clearly pop your S's and P's sounds here. Scrap, scrap, scrap. We sell leftover metal pieces as scrap to be recycled. Disposals, disposals, disposals. The management team must approve all asset disposals before we throw old machines away.
Section 3.
Tools and equipment. Hardware and assets.
Let's get our hands on some hardware. Keep the energy up, you're doing great. Hammer, hammer, hammer. The carpenter used the hammer to drive the nail into the wood. Spanner, spanner, spanner. Grab a spanner to tighten that loose bolt on the machine. Scissors, scissors, scissors. The tailor used sharp scissors to cut the fabric. Measuring tapes, measuring tapes, measuring tapes. We use measuring tapes to ensure the pieces are cut to the exact length. Plastic tubs, plastic tubs, plastic tubs. Store the small loose parts inside those plastic tubs. Returnable packaging, returnable packaging, returnable packaging. We ship these goods in returnable packaging so the crates can be sent back and reused. Fabric stamping dies, fabric stamping dies, fabric stamping dies. The machine presses the fabric stamping dies down to cut perfect shapes from the cloth.
Now let's look at some larger assets and the actions we take with them. Vehicles, vehicles, vehicles. Forklifts and trucks are essential vehicles in our logistics network. Spare parts, spare parts, spare parts. We keep spare parts in the storage room just in case a machine breaks down. Upgrades, upgrades, upgrades. Installing new software upgrades makes our automated assembly line much faster. Dismantling, dismantling, dismantling. The technicians are currently dismantling the broken machine to find the faulty part. Demolish, demolish, demolish. Next month, the company will demolish the old warehouse to build a larger facility.
Section 4. Let's head to the back office for accounting, taxes, and costs.
The absolute most crucial point in inventory accounting is choosing your tracking method. Perpetual, perpetual, perpetual. A perpetual inventory system updates our stock records continuously every single time an item is scanned. Periodic, periodic, periodic. A periodic inventory system only updates our stock records during a manual count at the end of the month.
Let's practice the vocabulary that defines our financial rules. Threshold, threshold, threshold. If the purchase price is above our spending threshold, you need the manager's approval. Criteria, criteria, criteria. The new supplier met all our strict quality criteria. Applicable, applicable, applicable. Please ensure you are following the safety rules applicable to your specific department. Claimable, claimable, claimable. Your travel expenses for the business trip are claimable from the finance department. Deductible, deductible, deductible. Office supply purchases are usually considered a tax-deductible expense. Amortized, amortized, amortized. The cost of the software license will be amortized over a period of 5 years.
Okay, pay attention to this one. Prerequisite, 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 prerequisite. Passing the safety exam is a strict prerequisite before you are allowed to operate the heavy machinery.
Let's tackle some complex tax and capitalization terms. Give these your best focus. Import duties, import duties, import duties. We must pay high import duties when bringing raw materials in from overseas. Excise tax, excise tax, excise tax. The government places a special excise tax on luxury goods and fuels. Borrowing cost capitalized, borrowing cost capitalized, borrowing cost capitalized. The interest on the loan used to build the factory is treated as borrowing cost capitalized, meaning it is added to the asset's value. Installation and commissioning costs, installation and commissioning costs, installation and commissioning costs. Setting up and testing the new machine involves heavy installation and commissioning costs. Cost aggregation, cost aggregation, cost aggregation. Cost aggregation is the process of gathering together all the small expenses related to a single project.
Let's finish up the accounting section by reviewing compliance terms. Illustrative, illustrative, illustrative. The chart in the report is purely illustrative, meant to show a general trend. Comprises, comprises, comprises. The management team comprises experts from both the engineering and finance departments. Purposes, purposes, purposes. We are collecting this data strictly for quality control purposes. Eligible, eligible, eligible. Only full-time employees are eligible for the corporate healthcare plan. Statutory, statutory, statutory. Providing safety goggles to factory workers is a statutory requirement under the law. Write-off, write-off, write-off. The inventory was destroyed in the flood, so the accountant had to completely write off its value on the balance sheet.
Section 5. Logistics and handover. Finished goods. We are in the home stretch.
Let's clarify these two banking documents, because let me tell you, mixing them up causes huge headaches. Bank credit advice. Bank credit advice. Bank credit advice. When the customer pays our invoice, we receive a bank credit advice showing money has entered our account. Bank debit advice. Bank debit advice. Bank debit advice. When the bank charges us a monthly service fee, they issue a bank debit advice showing money was taken out.
Now for the logistics paperwork. Let's practice what the warehouse manager says every day. Handover and acceptance. Handover and acceptance. Handover and acceptance. The client signed the handover and acceptance form to confirm they received the equipment in good condition. Pending handover. Pending handover. Pending handover. The boxes are sitting on the loading dock, just pending handover to the delivery driver. Goods handover note. Goods handover note. Goods handover note. Please attach the goods handover note to the pallet before it leaves the warehouse. Dispatched. 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 I just checked the system and your order was successfully dispatched this morning.
Here's a great descriptive word. Simultaneous. 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 The assembly line runs so efficiently because the cutting and the painting are simultaneous processes happening at the exact same time.
All right, let's do our final quality checks before the goods leave. Sufficient quantities. Sufficient quantities. Sufficient quantities. We cannot run the promotion unless we have sufficient quantities in the warehouse to qualify for the demand. Surface marks. Surface marks. Surface marks. The inspector rejected the metal casing because it had several deep surface marks and scratches.
And just like that, boom, you've officially completed the full business lifecycle. From raw materials hitting the factory floor all the way to a bank credit advice showing up in the finance department. We covered a massive amount of ground today with our 3-step repetition. But now the real test begins. Which of these terms are you going to confidently drop into your very next email, meeting, or production report? Seriously, pick 3 words right now and promise yourself you'll use them at work tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer to sharpen your professional vocabulary. Keep practicing those pronunciations, and I will see you next time.